Number 1. Oncologist reveals the simple daily habit that prevents cancer. After 50. Stop what you are doing right now because the information I am about to share could represent the most critical health insights you will encounter this year. And I state this not for dramatic effect, but because most doctors, including many oncologists, are simply not discussing this with their patients over the age of 50. The reason for this oversight is often attributed to the fact that this solution does not arrive in a prescription bottle. It represents a fundamental shift in daily habits and lifestyle choices. As Dr. William Lee, a vascular biologist, cancer researcher, and author, I have devoted more than 25 years of my life to studying precisely what truly prevents cancer at the cellular and biological level, moving beyond detection and into true prevention. What I have discovered, and what has been resoundingly confirmed by a landmark 2022 study published from Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health, which meticulously tracked over 116,000 adults for a period of 28 years, is that a specific set of daily habits has the potential to reduce overall cancer risk by an astonishing 61% in adults who are over the age of 50. This remarkable reduction is not achieved through a supplement regime or chemotherapy. It is achieved through specific lifestyle adjustments. Today, I am going to break down the 5 most powerful components of this lifestyle habit, ranking them from helpful to absolutely transformational, ensuring that by the end of this discussion, you will know exactly what practical steps you need to take starting tomorrow morning. Before we delve into these specific habits, I want to emphasize a crucial element. Habit number 1 on this list is something that 90% of individuals over the age of 60 are doing completely incorrectly, and the available science suggests that merely correcting this single habit could potentially cut your cancer risk nearly in half on its own. It is vital that you do not skip ahead in this explanation. Listen to the entirety of this presentation as the order truly matters, with each subsequent habit building upon the foundation established by the last. Let's begin at number 5. The 5th habit is something that almost everyone dismisses as being far too simple or basic to be serious, and this dismissal may very well be costing people their lives. I am referring specifically to cold water hydration, which means drinking 16 to 20 ounces of cold or room temperature filtered water first thing in the morning, before you consume coffee, before you eat food, and before you even look at your phone. While you might be tempted to dismiss this as overly simplistic advice, I urge you to consider the underlying mechanism, as it is both fascinating and profoundly relevant to the biology of aging. After individuals reach the age of 55, something known as interoceptive thirst sensitivity begins to decline. This is merely a clinical way of describing how your brain loses its efficiency in accurately informing you when you are thirsty. A significant 2019 study conducted at the University of Barcelona discovered that adults over the age of 60 are often chronically operating at 8 to 12% below optimal cellular hydration levels without ever experiencing a sensation of thirst. The question then becomes, why does this matter specifically for cancer prevention? The answer lies in your lymphatic system, which can be thought of as the body's internal garbage collection service. The lymphatic system is responsible for collecting cellular waste and damaged DNA fragments from throughout the body, and its function is almost entirely dependent on adequate water intake. When you are dehydrated, this cellular garbage collection system slows down dramatically. As a result, damaged cells begin to accumulate, inflammation levels rise, and chronic low-grade inflammation is now widely understood to be one of the primary drivers of cancer initiation, particularly for colorectal, bladder, and kidney cancers. To put this into perspective, the Harvard Nurses' Health Study found that women who consistently drank more than 5 glasses of water daily had a 45% lower risk of colon cancer compared to those who only drank 2 glasses or fewer. This is a remarkable health benefit from an intervention that costs virtually nothing. For aging bodies specifically, proper hydration also provides critical support for a process called autophagy, which is essentially your cell's self-cleaning mechanism. Autophagy acts as a quality control inspector inside each cell, breaking down damaged components before they have a chance to mutate and cause harm. After the age of 65, the efficiency of autophagy typically drops by approximately 30%, but proper hydration has been scientifically shown to partially restore that crucial function. To implement this habit correctly, keep a 20-ounce glass of filtered water on your nightstand. The moment your feet touch the floor in the morning, drink all of it before consuming anything else. You can add a squeeze of fresh lemon if desired, as the D-limonene found in lemon peel possesses its own anti-tumor properties, which we will touch on again later. The synergy tip for this habit is to pair your morning hydration with 10 minutes of light movement, even just walking around the house. Movement stimulates lymphatic flow and compounds the cellular cleansing effect by up to 40%, according to research from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden. This foundational habit, number 5, sets the stage for what follows, but what you choose to consume at breakfast time. Habit number 4 could be even more powerful. Habit number 4 involves a specific category of food that has been consumed for thousands of years across some of the world's longest living populations. For decades, it was largely dismissed by Western medicine, but it is now the subject of over 1,200 peer-reviewed studies focused specifically on cancer prevention. I am referring to fermented foods, specifically naturally fermented options like plain yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and miso. In 2021, a truly groundbreaking study from Stanford University School of Medicine, which was published in the prestigious journal Cell, found that adults who consumed high-fiber, high-fermented food diets showed dramatically increased microbiome diversity and, significantly, a measurable decrease in 19 specific inflammatory proteins, several of which are directly associated with cancer progression and growth. Here is why this specific intervention is particularly critical for people over the age of 50. After the age of 60, something called intestinal permeability increases. This means your gut lining literally becomes more porous, a condition often referred to as leaky gut. This increased permeability allows bacterial toxins, known as lipopolysaccharides, to enter your bloodstream, triggering systemic inflammation throughout the body. This systemic inflammation can act like fertilizer for precancerous cells, encouraging their growth and proliferation. I recall a specific patient, Margaret, who was 67 years old and from Asheville, North Carolina. She came to me presenting with chronically elevated inflammatory markers, persistent fatigue, and a strong family history of colorectal cancer. Her diet was actually quite healthy in most respects, but she completely lacked any fermented foods. We introduced 2 servings daily into her diet, a small amount of kefir in the morning and a small side of sauerkraut with lunch. Within just 90 days, her CRP levels, C-reactive protein, a key indicator of inflammation, dropped by 38%. Her gastroenterologist was genuinely astonished, and she told me it was the first time in years she had felt truly healthy and energized. The underlying mechanism here works through compounds called short-chain fatty acids, specifically butyrate, which is produced when beneficial gut bacteria ferment fiber. Butyrate literally signals precancerous cells in the colon to undergo apoptosis, which means it tells them to self-destruct before they can cause harm. Think of butyrate as a security guard for your gut lining who quietly escorts troublemakers out before any damage can be done. To replicate this benefit, aim for 1 to 2 servings of naturally fermented food per day. Be careful to select products that are not pasteurized, as the heating process kills the live cultures necessary for this effect. Look for the phrase live and active cultures on the product label. Your synergy tip here is to pair these fermented foods with prebiotic-rich foods, such as garlic, leeks, or slightly underripe bananas. Prebiotics serve as food for the beneficial bacteria introduced by the fermented foods, compounding the beneficial effect dramatically. Habit number 4 is powerful in its simplicity, but habit number 3 takes us into truly extraordinary scientific territory. Habit number 3 is something you have almost certainly heard of before, but I promise you haven't heard it explained in this specific context, and it's highly likely you aren't doing it in the way that actually triggers its powerful cancer preventive effects. I am talking about daily walking, but not just any walking. I am specifically referring to something researchers now call metabolic walking. The difference between casual strolling and metabolic walking could literally represent the difference between feeding cancer and actively starving it. Here is the relevant science. Your body operates on two primary fuel systems, glucose and oxygen. Cancer cells, due to a quirk in their metabolism first described by the biochemist Otto Warburg in 1931 and confirmed by hundreds of subsequent studies, are almost exclusively dependent on glucose for energy. They are actually quite inefficient at utilizing oxygen. This means that when you engage in sustained, moderate-intensity physical activity, the kind that elevates your heart rate to approximately 55 to 70% of your maximum, you achieve two remarkable things simultaneously. First, you deplete circulating glucose, thereby starving cancer cells of their preferred fuel source. Second, you flood your tissues with oxygenated blood, creating a biological environment that is actively hostile to cancer cell survival. A 2020 meta-analysis conducted by the American Cancer Society reviewed data from 1.4 million adults and found that regular moderate physical activity was associated with a 42% reduction in colon cancer risk, a 38% reduction in breast cancer risk, and a 27% reduction in lung cancer risk, even among non-smokers. These are truly extraordinary numbers for something that requires no prescription. However, here is where the aging-specific biology becomes critical. After the age of 65, your mitochondria, which are the tiny power generators inside your cells, experience a decline in both number and efficiency by as much as 35%. Mitochondrial dysfunction is now understood to be a key driver of both aging and cancer progression. Sustained moderate walking is one of the only interventions proven to stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis, meaning it literally signals your body to create new, healthy mitochondria. Think of it like getting a new fleet of power generators installed in every cell. Metabolic walking specifically requires 30 to 45 minutes of continuous walking at a pace where you can still hold a conversation, but you would find it slightly difficult to sing. This intensity needs to occur at least 5 days per week, and ideally in the morning before your first full meal. Fasted movement significantly amplifies the glucose depleting effect. I want to tell you about Robert, a 72-year-old retired teacher from Portland, Oregon, who came to me 3 years ago following a cancer scare where a precancerous polyp was removed during a routine colonoscopy. He was terrified and wasn't exercising at all. We started him on a morning walking protocol, 35 minutes, 5 days a week, combined with necessary dietary changes. At his 2-year follow-up colonoscopy, there was nothing present. He was completely clean. His oncologist specifically noted his dramatically improved inflammatory markers and called his recovery exceptional. Robert told me walking felt like a form of medicine, and he was absolutely right. It literally is. For synergy, pair your morning walk with your morning hydration from habit number 5, and if possible, walk somewhere with natural light. Morning sunlight exposure regulates your circadian rhythm, which in turn governs immune surveillance, which is your body's primary cancer detection system. The combination of all 3 habits working together is far more powerful than any single one alone. Habit number 2 brings us to a specific compound found in a very specific category of vegetables, and its unique way of fighting cancer in individuals over 50 is unlike anything else in nutritional literature. I am talking about sulforaphane, a powerful bioactive compound found in cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage, and most potently, broccoli sprouts. Here is why this compound matters so profoundly for aging biology. In 2018, researchers at Johns Hopkins University, where much of the foundational sulforaphane research was conducted, published findings demonstrating that sulforaphane activates a master genetic switch inside your cells called NRF2. Think of NRF2 as the head of security for your DNA. When activated, it triggers over 200 protective genes simultaneously. These genes are involved in processes like detoxification, antioxidant defense, and most critically, the repair of damaged DNA before it has a chance to mutate into cancer. Here is the aging-specific tragedy that makes this so urgent for individuals over 50. NRF2 activity declines by approximately 40% between the ages of 50 and 70. This means your DNA repair system is quietly shutting down precisely when you need it most. Sulforaphane essentially wakes it back up. A landmark study from the University of Illinois found that regular consumption of sulforaphane-rich foods was associated with a 52% reduction in bladder cancer risk, a 41% reduction in prostate cancer incidence, and significant reductions in breast and lung cancer markers. Perhaps most remarkably, a study from the Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center found that sulforaphane actually targets cancer stem cells, which are particularly dangerous cells that conventional chemotherapy often fails to eliminate and are responsible for cancer recurrence. Think of cancer stem cells as the generals of an army. You can wipe out the soldiers with chemotherapy, but if the generals survive, they will rebuild the army. Sulforaphane specifically targets and goes after these generals. Now here is the preparation detail that most people get completely wrong. Sulforaphane isn't actually present in broccoli in its active form. It is created through a chemical reaction that occurs when you chew or chop the vegetable, activating an enzyme called myrosinase. The critical issue is that cooking above 140 degrees Fahrenheit destroys myrosinase, which means fully cooked broccoli delivers very little active sulforaphane. The optimal preparation method is to chop or lightly crush your broccoli or sprouts and then let it sit for 40 minutes before consuming or lightly steaming. This resting period allows the myrosinase reaction to complete. After resting, steam for no more than 3 to 4 minutes. Raw broccoli sprouts require no cooking and deliver up to 50 times more sulforaphane per gram than mature broccoli florets. Aim for half a cup of raw broccoli sprouts daily or 1 full cup of lightly prepared broccoli. Your synergy tip here is crucial. Pair your cruciferous vegetables with a small amount of raw mustard seed powder or raw radish. Both are independently rich in active myrosinase, and adding them to cooked cruciferous vegetables effectively restores the enzyme activity that cooking destroyed, increasing sulforaphane bioavailability by up to 4-fold, according to research from the Institute of Food Research in Norwich. This is habit number 2, and it is incredibly powerful. But what I'm about to tell you for habit number 1, the single most impactful daily habit for cancer prevention after 50, is where the research has been quietly building toward, and what most preventive health conversations never reach. This is the one. Number 1 is sleep, but not just sleep in general. Specifically, what researchers now call oncological sleep architecture, meaning the specific quality and timing of sleep that activates your body's most powerful anti-cancer systems. The data on what happens to cancer risk when this system is disrupted is, quite frankly, alarming. Here is the mechanism at play. During deep, slow-wave sleep, stages 3 and 4, your brain activates the glymphatic system. This is a recently discovered waste clearance network, first described by researchers at the University of Rochester in 2013, that uses cerebrospinal fluid to literally flush toxic proteins and cellular debris from your brain and nervous system. Think of it as a power wash cycle that only runs at night when the factory is closed. However, the cancer connection goes far deeper than just brain health. During these same deep sleep phases, your body produces its highest concentrations of melatonin. Melatonin is not merely a sleep hormone, it is also one of the most powerful endogenous antioxidants known to science. A comprehensive review published in the journal Cancer Research in 2021 found that melatonin directly inhibits tumor angiogenesis, meaning it blocks cancers from constructing the new blood vessels they require to grow and establish themselves. Melatonin also stimulates natural killer cells, which are the frontline soldiers of your immune system whose specific job is to identify and destroy cancer cells before they can establish themselves. Here is the devastating aging statistic. Melatonin production declines by up to 70% between the ages of 40 and 70. Most people over 65 produce almost negligible amounts during sleep. This means your most powerful internal anti-cancer mechanism is running at a mere fraction of its capacity. A 2019 study from the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified night shift work, which chronically disrupts sleep architecture, as a probable human carcinogen. It's in the same category as certain pesticides and industrial chemicals, which highlights how serious disrupted sleep is for cancer risk. I had a patient, Eleanor, who was 71 years old from Scottsdale, Arizona. a retired nurse who was sleeping only 5 to 6 hours a night and waking frequently. Her immune panel showed severely suppressed natural killer cell activity. We worked together on what I call a sleep recalibration protocol: consistent 10 p.m. bedtime, complete darkness in the room, lowering the room temperature to 67 degrees, turning all screens off 90 minutes before bed, and a small dose of tart cherry juice at 8 p.m. for its natural melatonin precursors. Within 6 weeks, her sleep duration reached 7.5 hours consistently. At her 3-month follow-up, her natural killer cell count had increased by 47%. Her oncology team was astonished. She told me she hadn't slept that well since her 40s. The research is clear. Adults over 60 who consistently sleep 7 to 8.5 hours per night in proper dark, cool environments have cancer mortality rates up to 48% lower than those sleeping under 6 hours, according to a 20-year cohort study from the University of California, San Diego. This is not a minor variable. It is the master switch. 2. Optimize your sleep for maximum cancer protection. Do these things without negotiation. Set a consistent bedtime and wake time, even on weekends, because your circadian rhythm does not take days off. Make your room completely dark. Even small amounts of light suppress melatonin production. Cool your room to between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit and avoid eating within 3 hours of sleep because digestion competes with the cellular repair work your body needs to prioritize overnight. Your synergy tip for sleep is to combine your sleep optimization with daily morning sunlight exposure from habit number 3, because morning light anchors your circadian rhythm and directly increases your evening melatonin output. The two habits, working together, create a biological environment in which cancer struggles to take hold. All of the studies referenced throughout this discussion are linked below for your review. I encourage you to read them, share them with your doctor, and ask the questions that your appointments often don't leave time for. Here's what I want you to hear as we conclude. You are not too old for prevention. The science does not have an age limit. Whether you are 55 or 85, whether you've previously had a cancer scare or never given it a thought, your body retains a remarkable capacity to heal, to defend, and to regenerate when you give it what it needs. These 5 habits: morning hydration, daily fermented foods, metabolic walking, sulforaphane-rich cruciferous vegetables, and restorative sleep, are not exotic or complex protocols. They are the fundamental conditions your biology was designed to thrive in. They cost almost nothing. They require no prescription. And every single morning, you are given a fresh opportunity to begin. Your independence, your quality of life, and your ability to be present for the people you love are absolutely worth 30 minutes of walking, a simple glass of water, and a consistent bedtime. Do not let anyone tell you it is too late. The research says otherwise, and so do I. If this discussion helped you,